Natalie and I'm an illustrator, artist and graphic designer living in Vienna, Austria. If you're here, you've probably seen in the title that you shouldn't buy a printer and you shouldn't print your products at home. Why do I tell you that? Because printing at home sucks. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. No, in all honesty, please just don't print your stuff at home. Don't buy a printer if you don't have already one. There's one exception to this rule, and I just want to put that up front. If you have a limited amount of prints that you have to do, like just one or two, let's say you're doing pins at home or something and you can put all your designs onto one single sheet of paper, you're probably better off buying a printer, but as I've said, that's the one only exception that comes to mind. Who am I to tell you that you shouldn't buy a printer? I'm a graphic designer. I finished my masterclass about 10 years ago and I did photography books, school books. I worked for magazines. I did packaging design. I did porcelain decal designs. I printed booth fairs, fair booths, whatever you call them, in 7 by 3 meters. So from the teensy tiny stuff to the real big one, I did lots of printing in my life. And again, I repeat myself, don't buy a printer. Now, why shouldn't you buy a printer? First of all, it's expensive. The printer in itself, the first time you buy it, and if we talk about inkjet, the printer and the first set of inks isn't that expensive. This is how they lure you in. You think, well, this is just $100, that's pretty cheap, let's go for it. And then you have to buy the refills, the refill cartridge. And this is where it gets really expensive because the refill often costs you just as much as the printer. Not very effective. The second thing is it's frustrating. As soon as you have misprints, you're wasting your ink. It's just a very frustrating experience to have your printer not have the result that you want. The colors are wrong, they're smearing, they're smudging, the paper buckles, there's a printer jam. So many things can happen if you print at home. If you watched Lee Alexon's recent video, you can see her go through that kind of frustrating process and also giving up on printing at home, which I second. It's a very good idea. The third thing is it's not very environmentally friendly. So many of the refill cartridges, they come in a pack. You might be out of yellow, but you still have some cyan or magenta and black, but the cartridge only comes with all the colors. So you're throwing away the cartridge that still has some ink in there. And that's not very good for the environment because ink is toxic. Not the best thing to throw in a landfill, in my personal opinion, and also in the opinion of Mother Nature. And thirdly, and most importantly, the quality sucks. The quality, it doesn't measure up to a professional print. You just never get the same results. You can see the lines of the printer, or they just have these little dots if you look close enough. The colors are barely ever the same. They're not as rich. There's no recycled paper for printing that really works well with inkjet or laser. Most of the details come out very blurry, not as fine. So unless you invest in a really expensive printer, and again, the refill will be expensive as well, there's just no point in disappointing your clients because it's very obvious when someone prints at home, to me at least. So if you're really set and if you really need to buy a printer, invest in a laser printer. The laser printer has a different kind of technology. You don't have the problem that your ink is drying up because it doesn't work with wet ink. It works with some kind of static thing working with paper. I learned that in school. I can never quite explain it, but it has to do with some kind of negative ions sticking to the paper, and then the dust from the color comes and sticks to the paper, whatever. The results in a laser printer are way better. The ink lasts you way longer, which is also why it's maybe a little bit more expensive, but you can have it sit there for 2-3 months, half a year, and it will not have lost any of the ink, which is what happens with the inkjet. especially if you live in warmer climates where it tends to dry up quickly. It can happen that after 3 weeks you've thrown your printer and half of your ink is gone without you having printed anything. So probably not so nice. Invest in a laser printer. But if I could personally suggest something, I would invest in a good scanner. A good scanner with outsert printing will just get you further with better quality. Your clients will be more happy, you will be more happy. You will get to invest your time in really creating art instead of getting frustrated with creating prints. What you need to learn though, and this is really important, no matter if you're home printing or if you're sending it to a printer, if you're outsourcing, learn color profiles. Because if you have a printer to just test your prints at home before you send it to the printer, the results will never be the same because the printer uses a different color profile than your printer at home. Mostly these days, and this changes all the time, it's something like, in Europe at least, it's Fogra 39. It depends if you have coated paper or recycled paper. There are different printing profiles for these things in Photoshop. If you don't have them, they're all around the internet. You can just download and install them. That's another story if you want to learn about printing profiles. I can teach you. Yeah, that's something you need to learn in order to have your prints really pop and come out in the quality that you want to have. Is there anything I missed? I don't think so. So recap, save yourself the frustration, save money. It's way better for you to just outsource your printing. You get more bang for your buck. You get more prints for the same kind of investment money-wise, and the quality is better. Yeah, if you have any further questions about scanners, printers, whatnot, leave them in the comments. I will try to answer them for you, and we will see each other next week. Bye!